Headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
Let's talk to Richard Tice, because this morning we broke the news here on the show that basically Chelsea Football Club, as a going concern, now has an awful lot of question marks over it, not least that they cannot open their club shop, not least that all assets belonging to Roman Abramovich must now be frozen, not least that they are not able to now sell tickets for future football matches at home, even though some of them may already have been sold. If you have got a season ticket, you will still be able to go. They're playing Newcastle United, ironically, on Sunday. Newcastle, of course, funded now very much by Saudi money. But what does it all mean for football? Richard, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Very good morning, Mike. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're still a man. That's progress this morning.
Yeah, and I'm able to admit it without fear or favour.
Well, that's fantastic. Quite right too. But what a morning. To be honest, Mike, I've been calling for Abramovich to be sanctioned for many, many weeks, and for the assets of Chelsea Football Club to be essentially frozen. But the idea that it stops is ridiculous. It should be, quite straightforward to put it into a sort of a court-appointed administrator.
Yes.
That continues on exactly the same basis until it is sold. I mean, Abramovich himself has been trying to sell the club in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
There's a sale process going on, and that should continue, but it should be operated by, in my view, a court-appointed administrator, and then there is obviously the question of, well, what should happen to the proceeds? Well, Abramovich himself had said that...
well, he doesn't want them, does he?
He doesn't want them, and you can see the direction of travel. He knew this was coming.
Right.
He's known this was coming for weeks, if not months, which is why he did what he did. First of all, he wanted to put the control of the club into some charity trustees, and the truth was they didn't want it. But the idea that you sort of stop the whole thing is ridiculous. When a company goes bust, it goes into the hands of a receiver, and the receiver keeps the company going whilst they're trying to find a buyer. Well, this is, in a sense, this is a variant of that. Chelsea FC is clearly a very valuable brand and franchise and operation, and day to day. I obviously don't know whether it's cash generative or not.
I don't think it is. I mean, that's the other interesting thing here, isn't it? That the likes of Roman Abramovich and the likes of the Saudi government and the Abu Dhabi royal family are the only people that can really run football clubs, because they're not interested in making money. They've got more money than Croesus.
Well,
they don't need it.
Yeah, but there's a difference, Mike, of course, between making cash day to day and building the value of the brand. So you might lob in, I know this, if you're Abramovich or an oligarch or a billionaire, you might lob in 100 million in order to increase the value of the brand by $1 billion, and then you sell it. Well, you're 900 to the good. So it doesn't have to be cash generative day in, day out, week in, week out.
No, but let's put it this way. If football and owning a football club was your only business, you wouldn't be in it for long.
That is absolutely right. And that's, in a sense, as I think you've alluded to, the people who put money into these football clubs, they've made money elsewhere, and some of them are trying to build the brand, and for some of them it's an ego trip. But for Abramovich, well, I think I always saw it as a way of buying him sort of an option for Western society, and but this is. I think this is the right move from the government in terms of sanctioning him. It's belated.
But would you not suspect, like I do, that having taken the time they've taken to do this, he's probably already moved whatever monies he's got outside of Chelsea somewhere else anyway?
Well, the reality, you can't move Chelsea. That's the key point. You can't move the brand. You can't move the club, and indeed you can't actually move the stadium because of...
No, but I mean any any assets that he may have in this country outside of what's in Chelsea, he will be gone.
Quite probably, but let's not forget that Chelsea, the numbers being banded around are somewhere between 2 and 3 billion. Well, maybe it's just dropped to 1.5. It's still an incredibly valuable brand that's here in the UK. And so, yes, because it's been quite slow in terms of the sanction being imposed, he's bound to have moved. money elsewhere, and that's at the door.
But could this potentially? I mean, you're a football man, Richard. You support Liverpool for your sins. Is it?
We've all got them, mate. We've all got them.
I mean, is it possible, for example, that this will lead to something else? I mean, according to Nadine Dorries' statement this morning, she says, "I know this brings some uncertainty, but the government will work with the league and clubs to keep football being played while ensuring sanctions hit those intended. Football clubs are cultural assets and the bedrock of our communities. We're committed to protecting them." Now, whenever I see statements like that from government officials and government ministers, I always smell a rat, and I think, well, it's all very well for you saying that, but what we do know is this will disrupt Chelsea Football Club and the day-to-day running of it, and it may well make people who have got investments in football wonder when they're going to come for them.
It's a very fair point, and but in a sense, arguably good. If people have put money into football from ill-gotten gains, then they should be looking over their shoulder, and that's the role of the whole sanctions regime. And I think it has been applied too little, too late. And I think the vast majority of fans in football, you actually want it to be a properly well-run, decent, and importantly, clean game. And that's not just clean on the pitch, but also clean in terms of the people who run and control and own football clubs. And so, in a sense, it's a massive wake-up call. It's happened too late, but now let's learn from it. And but equally, the idea that you can't open the Chelsea shop or sell tickets is a complete nonsense. That wouldn't happen in a normal receivership of a business.
No. But that's the point. There's nothing normal about this, and so therefore it sets a precedent.
Well, no, actually, I'm not so sure, Mike. I think, look, it's an operating business. Chelsea Football Club is an operating business with day-to-day operations and building the brand, and it's a global brand.
Yes, no, but when I say there's nothing normal about this, I mean there's nothing normal about the way the government has approached sort of effectively shutting down the owner. Is there?
Correct. No, there's nothing normal about that. That's absolutely right. But the owner is different from the asset, and this is one of his many assets. And those that are still in the UK are essentially, as I understand, are being frozen. This is one of them. But you can freeze the ability of the owner, i.e. Abramovich, to control the asset. That's separate from the day-to-day operation.
But have a look at this, right? Just while we're speaking, Henry Winter has tweeted this. Chelsea permitted reasonable cost of travel to and from fixtures, not exceeding the value of £20,000 per game. Making a short trip to Lille next week, if progress is expected to the Champions League quarter-finals, longer trips could be problematic. I mean, that's extraordinary, isn't it?
Look, if the government is trying to dictate what type of bus and aeroplane that the players can catch, then frankly, they've lost the plot.
That's what I mean.
That is absurd, if that is the case. And
well, Henry Winter's normally on the money on these things. I can't imagine what on earth the government thinks that they're going to be doing. I mean, they can't run their own balance sheet, never mind Chelsea football clubs.
Let's be clear, the government shouldn't be running football clubs. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
And there is a sale process going on, and it sounds like the sooner the better.
Yeah.
But this whole process has been very belated. I welcome the sanctioning, but I don't welcome the idea that the government's now trying to sort of dictate the type of bus or cable.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the type of sandwich you can sell and which kind of shirt you can, hand over in the shop. I mean, it's mad. It seems to me, anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously they're very welcome to sell Liverpool shirts in the football shop.
Somehow I don't see that happening, but you'll be able to explain all of this further, no doubt, tomorrow morning, because you're sitting in this chair. Well, not this chair, but you'll be sitting in the opposite chair at around about 10 o'clock.
Perfect. Look forward to it.
Good stuff. Richard, thank you very much indeed. Richard Tice there, who's a man who knows a thing or two about business and a thing or two about football. But it does seem to be a very odd state of affairs right now, because nobody's quite sure what it all means. And whenever nobody's quite sure what it all means, it literally could mean anything. There's plenty of people willing to explain it, but actually nobody really knows, because nothing's never happened before.
Good talk. Hot talk.
Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.